right, what is up, YouTube? We are here with...
Cimo!
Thank you for the delayed introduction, Cimo.
You're welcome.
Smile!
I didn't know what you were gonna do!
I don't know what I'm doing either, it's okay. So we're gonna be talking about Salamangreat, right? And Yugioh?
Yeah. We're gonna see how great Salamangreat is going to be.
Okay, so me and Cimo have been talking about this for like 10 minutes before we started this video. You guys probably already missed the good stuff. But...
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, it really is. Alright, so, Cimo, tell me about Salamangreat. What do you know?
So, Salamangreat is going to be the next, hopefully, budget player's wet dream, in that you can just buy a couple starter decks, or structure decks, excuse me, and just add some minor upgrades, hand traps, a couple impermanents, which obviously is not going to be a cheap upgrade, but honestly, it's a deck that it's going to be very cheap relative to everything else in the meta, and actually has a very good chance of being like tier 1.5 / tier 2 because it functions on 1 to 2 card combos and always recurs its main combo starter, which means you get to generate boards for absolutely free. And it's pretty good in that respect, even though it doesn't make the most intimidating boards compared to some of the other meta contenders. But it's for what it is, I still think it's pretty solid, and the OCG has proven that this deck can actually compete with the likes of Striker and Geist and other decks. So that's why we wanted to talk about it today.
To be fair, the OCG did neuter everything else around the competition, so Salamangreat looks a little bit better.
Yes, and I think that's a really good point to start here, because Thunder in the OCG is a lot different, because Thunder is not played nearly as much as it is here. B, we have Danger Thunder, which is a variant they've never had the opportunity, or I guess the displeasure of playing with or against. And I think Danger Thunder's, I'm going to say dominance in the meta, because I feel like it's going to be the deck to beat for this format. I feel like that's the biggest reason why this deck will not succeed, because it relies a lot on searching, and with a card like Colossus existing, that's very problematic for this deck to function.
So deep in the confines of the internet, I've read somewhere that people are trying to put Danger, at least Tsuchinoko, in the Salamangreat deck. What do you think about that?
It's kind of cute, because I think the biggest, I wouldn't say biggest problem, but like one of the things is that the OCG version, Terror Top, because they have it at 2, and we don't really have like an adequate replacement for that. So some people are trying like Psychic Wielder. Tsuchinoko is kind of nice because like if they hit a spinny off of Tsuchinoko, that's like the dream.
Yeah, that's just infinite plus.
Yeah, exactly. So you can actually plus off of some of the cards that go to grave, because since the Salamangreat cards can be recurred from the graveyard so easily. It's not a bad idea. Honestly, like, what if Danger Salamangreat's a thing and we don't even realize it yet? Like, that could be possible. Granted, you're restricted to fire summons, so maybe not, but yeah. But, who knows? We've seen weirder stuff before.
Well, if you start off your combo with starting off with the Tsuchinoko, it's the same reason why people are playing Psychic Wielder. You use it as the start of your combo, and then you do what you're going to do, and then you end going into fire. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, isn't when you hit the card that restricts you into fire? Isn't it like it's from that point on?
Yes.
Or is it for the whole entire turn? Is it like a duality?
No, it would be after the effect.
Right. Okay. So so in that case, yeah. So granted, it's not like the best extender later on, but if you just need it for your starter, like then it's fine.
I don't want to put my Danger cards in here.
At that point, like Wielder might just be better. Because it's like, you're guaranteeing you're not gambling. It is cheaper. That's true.
Okay, so first off, for budget players out there watching this and joining us, Effect Veiler, a great cheap alternative actually right now to Impermanence, and actually stopping Saruja and Guard Dragon Crusadia and the other variants isn't terrible. You're going to have your Ash Blossoms because you already bought the structure decks anyway, and I hope you have your Helios because that card's almost $4 now.
Yeah.
So, looking at the extra deck for a variant, like, the most expensive thing you're going to need is, I guess, Borrelsword, but, you already know what you're paying for,
Borrelsword's not even mandatory, though, because the deck has OTK potential built into it.
Absolutely.
So, you could just play, like, Borreload could be your most expensive extra deck card, in all honesty. And you're like, yeah, Borrelsword as an option is probably good, but, like, if you really, really can't afford it, you could get away with not having it.
You're paying $100 for the OTK potential. Like, you get what you're paying for,
Right, yeah. But again, it's like, I mean, if you're entering like a huge, big YCS, then yes, you're going to want to have Borrelsword. If you can even borrow it, like that's the best of both worlds, you know? But again, if you're just playing it at locals, you're probably going to be fine without it.
The only other thing you're going to need is ye old Super Poly.
Yeah, I mean, Super Poly is pretty good too, considering Thunder Dragon's your worst matchup.
So, I feel like I should
That might
talk
not
more...
even matter, honestly, with the boards this deck makes, or that deck makes. But
I feel like we should talk more about Salamangreat, but I want to talk about what beats Salamangreat. So Salamangreat got the Sirocco treatment, where they have a built-in card that beats the deck, and it's their fusion monster.
Yeah, ironically.
Isn't it great how they just know? They're like, we need to give them the Sirocco treatment. You feel?
Yeah, I think that's cute. It's interesting, like, if you just have, like, the deck playing against each other, how it has, like, natural counters in the mirror, but I don't know. I kind of like that.
Okay,
like,
so,
I don't know if that was intentional design, but...
So we were talking about some of the best boards are you end on the Link 2, you end on both trap cards, and obviously the field spell, and possibly some sort of hand trap in hand, correct?
Sure, yeah. Because, I mean, your deck's probably going to be playing, you know, maybe, like, 6 to 8 hand traps, potentially. So you're going to have a negate, you're going to have a spot removal, at the very least, and then possibly some sort of hand disruptor. So that's like 2.5, let's call it, forms of disruption.
And the Icarus attack can destroy up to 2 for the Link monster. If not, it's a 1-for-1 on its own, correct?
It's actually a neg 1 on its own, because you have to get rid of the card and use the trap.
Boy, I love neg 1s, don't you?
Yeah, but, I mean, some decks that can, you know, if you remove, like, okay, think about it. If you remove Summon Sorcerer before it triggers, like, that's not bad. That's worth a neg 1, honestly.
Well, it's also the same thing with, like, Ghost Ogring a Saruja, like, that 4-monster investment that they just made. Like,
right, well, I mean, Saruja's on Summon, so it's a little bit different, but the fact you're removing the Link, the fact you're removing the Link arrows,
absolutely.
So, even though they get the draw effect, yeah, the keeping the Saruja there is the problem. The drawing is just, like, negligible at that point.
Now, looking at Salamangreat to beat the deck, I mentioned to you earlier, you know, kaijuing it over just turns off the counter trap card and then turns the 1-for-1 into an inherent neg 1, correct?
Yes.
So, what are you looking at to beat Salamangreat besides... I don't think Sphere Mode's going to be that great, but...
No, because you don't... Sphere Mode, they're never going to have a board that's that large. You know, I mean, I guess they could theoretically have that many monsters, but I wouldn't bank on it. But the thing is, you could honestly just play Twin Twister, because then you just kind of force... If you can just force out the Infernity Barrier, like, it's not... Most decks should be able to bait out one negation and a thing that pops. I don't really think that's too difficult. Like, if you look at the best decks right now, like, Sky Striker can easily do that. Danger Thunder can easily do that. Altergeist, it takes them, like, a little bit of time, but they could easily outplay that.
Set 4-pass.
Right, exactly. Like, they can just, you know, rest and just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait and play the waiting game because that's how I play Altergeist, you know?
Yeah.
The what's it called? We also have to worry about the Azathoth decks. Azathoth decks don't really care. Like, they have they're very structured similarly to that of the Danger Thunder decks, where they have a ton of extenders. So being able to play through that little form of disruption, is it too difficult? And then they're going to end on an Azathoth, which means your follow-up is going to be horrid because you can't use any monster effects.
Does Salamangreat even have a follow-up?
Well, yeah, because they recur the Gazelle, and then Gazelle can do the entire combo. You can either do the entire setup board again with the traps, or you just kill them because you can OTK them.
Okay. So basically, Salamangreat's the going first deck of the format, and if they go second and can't smash through, it's going to be a bad time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this deck's going to play through Danger Thunder's boards. Like, even if the deck mains Droll, I don't know how this deck's going to be able to pull it off.
I mean...
It's not going to be able to do it consistently, is what I'm saying.
I don't think that this deck's going to be a deck maining evenly. That just kind of seems really weird to me. You know, going second.
Well, that's the thing. Like, are you going to play a go first deck that mains evenly? I mean, granted, I did that, but I mean, you could in theory, because, like, okay, think you evenly them, so now they have, like, what, 2 cards left, assuming, like, they don't have anything to stop. So, like, if they have 2 or 3 cards left, then you set up your board and have 2 negates. That should be enough theoretically to stop their cards, because you can pretty much 1-for-1 everything they do.
I mean, it depends on how many cards Danger Thunder ends on in hand.
Right, but I mean, most of the time with Danger Thunder, they kind of just blow their load.
Yeah.
And if you can out 2 negates plus being under Colossus plus starting with 4 cards in your opening hand, then you should win that game. But that's still a very hard mountain for any deck to climb in this format.
And I mean, like you said, Sky Striker just climbs over this deck relatively easily, especially since they've got everything that they could actually ever want. You know, in the OCG, the deck's more restricted, but we have triple Widow, triple Engage. Like, we should be getting places. You feel?
Yeah, but I mean, in the OCG, they're only down to... They only have 2 Engage and 2 Widow, so I mean, it's not like...
And
that
1 Kagari.
Yeah, oh, that's true, 1 Kagari, yeah, that's pretty significant, actually.
I mean...
But I don't know. I mean, I think it's got potential, because I think it's, like... It's just, for what it is, it's pretty good. You know, I don't feel like it does anything unfair, which is, I think,
it's kind of like Pendulum Magician in a way, in terms of the budget players. It does enough, and it will do enough in an 8-round event. You know what I mean? Or 9 rounds, depending.
I would disagree with comparing to the Pendulum Magician, because Pendulum Magician does do unfair things. Like, Pendulum Magician can end on Kali Yugioh.
Well,
Pendulum Magician can end on, like, 4 or 5 negate boards.
I was making the comparison for, like, the budget side of things. You know?
Oh, okay. Fair.